Anybody here yet? Nope. But the microphone sounds okay. Let's see who's going to be in the door first. Whether it'll be Kathy again or Ron. Waiting for someone to appear in the chat. I had added a backlight down here in the corner. Lights the studio up a little more. Actually makes it look like a real studio. Too bad we can't be sitting on that comfy couch. So far, nobody here. I'm looking up. So far, it shows people 0 on YouTube. Now, unfortunately, I can't do dual programs like I used to because Prism decided in order to do that they wanted money. That's the way these streaming services work. They lure you in for free. And then once you get nice and comfy, they want money. Well, I happen to be cheap. Evidently, everybody lost track of time tonight. All right, YouTube is showing somebody in the studio. We don't know who. Well, I take that back. They showed up and they left. It's getting real interesting. 108 subscribers and nobody's here. Oh, there it. Kathy's here. I was starting to get worried. I was going to say 108 subscribers and nobody's here at all. That's scary. And the Rainbow is here. Let's get started. Broadcasting live from station WDWL TV. I like how my hand goes under the timer. Studio 2A. And we are brought to you by Grumpy Vulture Productions. And no, he is not going to bow. And with that, how's everybody doing? I added another light down here. And it actually illuminates more of the couch. We're starting to look like a real studio. Well, that is. Although I like how I can stick my hand under the timer. Isn't that scary? That's okay, Kathy. I would. No. Calls are more important than being here. Didn't you notice yesterday, Ron? Yeah, I changed it yesterday. I got tired of sitting in the basement storeroom. I decided to come up and sit in a real studio. And then, I just can't believe, we don't hardly make any shit here anymore. I needed a tricolor ink refill for my printer. So I order original HP because I have an HP printer. I look at the box. Made in Malaysia. We can't even make ink refills. HP, at one time, the world leader in computers and scientific calculators. Here we go, made in Malaysia. Oh, Ron, don't get all wound up about it. That's why your heartbeat gets out of whack. At one time, I used to worry about doctor appointments. I was like, oh. Now it's like, yeah. Just another face. Was it Wednesday or Thursday? Let's see, tomorrow's 21, Thursday. I have an appointment with my primary care. I already know I'm going to get my ass chewed out. Not worried about it. But I already know I'm going to get my ass chewed out. It'll go in this ear, and it'll come out this ear. That's the only thing I don't like about my new primary care. My other primary care knew better than to yell. He had a way of chewing your ass out that kind of made you feel good to be on your way. Actually, Ron, buying it online was half the price of buying it at Staples. I was going to order it from Staples. And then I looked at the price. I was like, holy shit. So I went on good old eBay, half the price. And it's good until December of 2026. So it's a fairly new cartridge. Made in Malaysia. That would explain why the tricolor cartridge that's in the printer now took a shit with like 3/4 ink in it. I go to print something in color and I'm like, what the hell's this shit? I took the cartridge out. I looked at it to make sure the contacts were all clean. I looked in the machine. I put the cartridge back in. I hit align print heads. And when it went to give me the printout, all the colors were washed out. So the goddamn cartridge went bad. So I had to order another one. And I hate it because now they're going to be out of whack. The black ink will go, and then, 2 months later, the tricolor will go. I like replacing both cartridges at the same time. Not anymore. Well, I don't see my pain management doctor now until early December. It'll work perfect because that way I can stop at the bakery and get him and his family some Christmas goodies. I do it every year. I used to get his daughter a Christmas present. It was cute when, she was 6, 7, 8 years old. Now she's 16. The one Christmas, I got her pens and markers that look like syringes. Oh, he said she went bonkers when she unwrapped them. She couldn't wait to go to school and show all of her neat pens and markers that were syringes. Now I guess I'd have to buy her like a tank of gas for the car, accessory for her iPhone, I don't know. Yeah, when she hit like 10 or 11 years old, when she hit 10, 11, 12, I got McDonald's gift cards. And then he told me to stop. And I was like, no, I've been doing it for, 5 years. He goes, she appreciated it, but I said, okay. But I make sure I get him Christmas pastry. Mainly because God, been with him for 10 years. Like family. Yeah, I could do that, Ron. I could hand him a Christmas card and say, here, give this to your daughter and do just, yeah, a straight $25 Visa card. That's a good idea. As a matter of fact, he told me I am his only patient that has ever seen pictures of his wife and daughter. He doesn't even have family pictures on his desk because sometimes patients have to come into his office. And it was cute when, she was 6, 7, 8 years old. She would draw me a thank you card. Butterflies on it, a little elf in the corner. Hey, look who's here. Rudy showed up. Boy, it's nice having that brand new Keurig machine. Oh, man. Talk about good coffee. Yeah, I gave my kid that piece of shit machine. I said, here, you can have it. I don't want it. And don't touch my Keurig. The old adage, you get what you pay for. Although I like this one with the water tank on the side. Because that way you fill the tank and you can make yourself 8 cups of coffee before you have to refill it. Where the other machine, you had to constantly, every time you made a cup of coffee, you had to pour in 8 ounces, 10 ounces, 12 ounces, whatever. And the mint green is really cool. I like the color. Well, Kathy, back in the day, whether you went to a doctor or a lawyer or even go in and, talk to the bankers, they always had, a shitload of family photos. And now with, social media and yeah, I've noticed more and more and more. As a matter of fact, a lot of the doctors don't even have their diplomas on the walls anymore. Kathy, that's like on the one wall in the living room. I have from one corner to the other an age progression of my son because my uncle was a professional photographer and he loved taking pictures of him. So I have him like at 6 months and then a year and then 2 years and then when he was in my sister's wedding, he was like 6 or 7 years old and he's in a tuxedo. Yeah, you go right across the wall, but nobody sees it. I really don't like having people over anymore. I really don't. Because I'm not that fastidious of a housekeeper. And I hate, people come in and they're like, oh man, look, you got dust in the corner. Well, at least it's not a dead body in the corner. Yeah, Ron, but you have to admit, back in the day, you go in and there'd be diplomas and certificates, and because I mean it is a source of pride, especially if you graduated from kind of a prestigious college. But nowadays with social media, you never know when somebody's going to pump a photograph. Oh, I agree 100%, Kathy. But I had some friends in the past that, couldn't hold back a comment. Like, oh, gee, you didn't vacuum before we came over. Well, I didn't tell you I was going to give you a tour of the house. That's like I've got one female friend that I graduated high school with, and she's a bit of a hoarder. And she's always apologizing. And I tell her, Judy, I'm here to see you. I got a place to sit down. I got a cup of coffee. I'm happy. I don't care if you got craft magazines stacked to the ceiling in the corner. It's her house, bought and paid for. If she wants to hoard, fine. I mean, she's got not a. She needs to stay away from Michaels. I mean, she's got piles of material, and I don't care. You walk in my living room, it looks like Harbor Freight. Because I can't trust putting my tools in the basement. So the whole one wall in the living room is toolboxes and tool bags and stuff. I have it sorted. I know what's there. I don't care what it looks like. When I go to see a friend or a relative, I go to see them. I could walk in with fucking blinders on. I'll stop and see Judy, and she's always embarrassed. Oh, it's Judy. You're not in the best of health. I stopped to see how you're doing and make fun of your Prius. Yeah, she bought a Prius. Well, don't overdo it, Ron. You're going to the doctor tomorrow. Remember that. Yeah, evidently Ron must have a little cart. We're going on the road. Yeah, the last time I was over there, she had just taken delivery of her Prius, and she said, "What do you think?" I said, "You want me to lie, Judy, or you want my honest opinion?" She said, "Give me your honest opinion." I said, "That's the ugliest goddamn car I've ever seen. Next to a Dodge Ram van. Oh, those are hideous looking." But like she said, every time she drives down to Ohio State, she gets excellent mileage. More power to her. Yeah, tomorrow morning I gotta drop the Passat off for the alternator. And then today I'm hearing a strange noise in the front end. I'm like, God damn, is it ever gonna end with this car? I hope it's just from not being daily driven. I can't wait to get it out on the freeway. I want to wind that turbo up. Oh yeah, it was hilarious. Is that the same one you sent to Kathy? Boy, I'll tell you, Kathy, that Appalachian Craft Center is an impressive organization. Holy crap! I was doing a shitload of reading on that website. Very impressive. Yeah, well, I can't really do much driving until January. That's a sad thing. I'll have it. Well, at least I'll have it all ready to go. Oh yeah, whoever put that video together, that was hilarious. They took a current photo of Lucy and shrunk it down to make a little kid out of it. I laughed my ass off. Oh yeah, very impressive organization. Very impressive. I went through almost the whole website. It's nice to know that we have, higher learning centers that are that impressive. yeah, I like when she took the first spoonful. Then they did a second take and a third take. Whoever produced that and put that together really had a hell of an imagination because that was hilarious. What the hell was it? Vitamin or something? I like when she took the bottle and just. Videos like that I really enjoy. They make my day. Like I say, whoever produced that and put that together, first of all, they're very talented, and second of all, they had a sense of humor. Not to mention the voice. Oh, yeah, I knew it was like 6 miles long. Vita Mita Vegemin. But for them, I mean, the label on the bottle looked so real. I mean, it looked like an actual commercial. But oh my god, that was hilarious. I'm gonna have to look and see what other kind of stuff that guy did. I didn't think of doing that. Hey, Rudy, you didn't answer Kathy's question. She asked you what you drive. I think Ron drives a Taurus, if I'm not mistaken. I've got the old Nissan shitbox and the Passat. Kathy's got that booming F-150. I'm gonna have to do when when I come back from dropping the Passat off. I'll have to go through and watch some of his other stuff. Oh, okay. Well, not everybody drives. I remember my buddy's father growing up refused to drive. And one day I asked him, and he said, I did enough driving during WWII to last me a lifetime. He says, I'm not driving anymore. He drove, what the hell did they call them? Deuce and a halfs, troop carriers. And then he got kind of forced into learning how to drive a tank. And when he got discharged from the service after the war was over, he's like, I ain't driving ever again. And he didn't. He took the bus to work every day. And if they had to go somewhere, luckily his wife drove. But he just outright refused. Matter of fact, I just was thinking about it. My neighbor's husband doesn't drive. He gave it up about 10, 15 years ago. He used to have to drive. He worked somewhere in downtown Cleveland. And he just got fed up with driving rush hour traffic. And he said, that's it. I'm not driving no more. So his wife would take him, drop him at the Rapid every morning. He'd take the Rapid downtown. Then she'd pick him up. He wouldn't even drive up to the Rapid station. I was like, Bob, it's like up the street. He said, I know. I'm not going. Nope, I don't drive anymore. That's it. I had enough. Oh, don't start that shit, Ron. You are not a sovereign citizen. Those idiots. I'm not driving, I'm traveling. I like the one cop from Arkansas. No, Florida, because they don't put up with that shit down there. The Florida State Trooper said, you have a D on your ship pattern or you have a T? And he said, well, I have a D. And the trooper said, D is for drive. There's no T for travel on your shift pattern. Don't give me this, you're traveling. Man, I'll tell you what, it is getting out of hand with them people. I see videos almost daily. Yeah, they don't need a driver's license. They don't need insurance. They don't need to register their car. And Florida, when they pull you over and you got one of them private license plates, they unbolt it right off the car and they keep it. Matter of fact, the one trooper said, I guess you'll have to call Amazon and get another one. And if you do, I'll take that one away from you too. Yeah. And the ones that are worse are the oh God, I can't think. They always cite that treaty with Morocco. I can't think of what they call themselves. And they have them ID cards that said they can't be arrested. I love it. The Moorish Americans. Yeah, the Moorish Americans. Although, see, some of those Moorish American groups, they literally promote violence. Because there's been several law enforcement shootouts with them. Like the last one down in Florida with good old Grady Judd. We shot him dead. The last thing you want to do is pull a gun on one of Grady Judd's deputies. Boy, I'll tell you what, I like him as a sheriff. He defends his guys right down the line. Yeah, well, the United States doesn't recognize that. Yeah, the old Treaty of Peace and Friendship. And they're not from Morocco either. Oh God, that had to. Oh, I would like to see the video of that. Like when they get them in the, they'll get a suspect in the interrogation room. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. We got you on video. I didn't do anything. Oh, that had to be funny. It's, Kathy, it's good that she played along with it and they didn't scare the shit out of her with the handcuffs. Some kids would go bonkers. I'm glad she took it in stride. Oh, did they get it on video? That would be something for a YouTube short. That had to be priceless. Did they put her in a jail cell too? That would have been even more priceless. Put her in handcuffs and put her in a jail cell. Stand there going, I didn't do anything. I think you told me that once before. Even so, it had to be precious. Of course, now she knows what it's like to be in handcuffs. Like they say, they're not made for comfort. Really? Well, good for her. That's impressive. Now, does that take in like independent living? How they would basically show them how to live on their own? That's impressive. Somebody to be proud of there, Kathy. Although I'm sure Grandma's beaming. Now, is she like on the spectrum? Because a friend of mine's got two sons, and they're, as she puts it, on the spectrum. They're not like fully autistic. It's amazing how smart those two kids are. Both of her sons, they're 2 years apart. Trying to think, one is either 11 and 9 or 10 and 8. They have been like straight A students since like second grade, third grade. But they're really quirky. Like she said, you basically, I don't see them that often. But she says you basically have to be around them to kind of understand the quirks. But two intelligent little kids, I'll tell you that. And she is a member of the Mensa Society. Talk about smart. Holy Christ. She's got more brains in her little finger than I got up here in this bald noggin. Really? Wow. You know, the sad thing is, Kathy, back in the day, those kids were like institutionalized. They treated them like they had no brains. And now they're realizing that some of them kids have super intelligence. Do they think at any time he may become verbal? Or do they figure that basically that's the way he's going to be? As a matter of fact, she was telling me, I think with the older one, that the teacher will give a class assignment and he'll be finished with it like halfway through class. Like, I'm done here. And the other kids are still working on it. But yeah, back in the day, and especially kids that had Tourette's, they deemed them like worthless. You know, they'll never become anything. But of course, you know, with the advancement of science and medication, oh, okay. Well, I'm sure that he communicates in his own way where everybody understands what he means. But there's still hope, you know? There's advancements in science made every day. But over the years, you know, they just proved one thing, that locking them away was the worst thing on earth. Although I'll tell you what, teachers have really come a long way. You know, teachers had to learn how to teach all over again with these kids. Yep, always hope. But like you say, there's advancements in science and medications daily. Although, boy, I read something that was scary today. Holy shit. I was reading about people with hyperthyroidism. And there are some people that normal medications just will not adjust that thyroid to operate properly. And they have a new medication out for people with severe hyperthyroidism. It's an infusion. $45,000 per infusion. And they say some people need up to 10. I was like, 45 grand? What is that stuff made out of? Liquid titanium? Oh, yeah, Kathy, like I say, back in the day, they didn't even look into these kids. They were like, put them in an institution, lock them away, can't do nothing with them. And then they realized, like my friend's two sons, they're both straight A students, constantly. But they're, as she says, on the spectrum. I don't understand, and I haven't done enough reading on it. Evidently, on the spectrum must not be like severe. But they're two quirky kids. Sometimes they drive me crazy. But I try to have extended patience when I'm over there. But very quirky. Because back in the day, all kids like that got labeled as retarded. Oh, he's retarded. Lock him away. Can't do nothing with him. Give him a box of crayons and. I'll bring the article in tomorrow because it says what the drug is, but it's 45 grand per treatment, and they say that is for, and they have to measure it out real. That is basically for a person that weighs like 165 pounds because you can't over medicate, you can't under medicate. It's a real delicate process to balance it. But every infusion, $45,000. Yeah, but see, Kathy, back, let's say 20 years ago, 25 years ago, those kids were still being written off. And then with more and more research, they realized that some of these kids are geniuses. What the hell was that movie? Oh, it starred Tom Cruise. And I can't remember who played his brother. What the hell was the name of the movie? Got it. The movie was out eons ago. And Tom Cruise took him on a road trip. And they were in a diner. And the waitress was going to load toothpicks in the toothpick dispenser. And she popped the box open and all the toothpicks fell on the floor. Rain Man, yeah. And he looked down on the floor and he went, 998. And the waitress looked in the box and there were two toothpicks in the box. Dustin Hoffman. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, that was an excellent movie. But I still remember the scene in the diner. She had that box of 1,000 toothpicks, and the box broke open, and he just looked down on the floor and went, 998. And then she held the box and went, there's two in here. How did he do that? But that basically kind of brought, those type of ailments to the forefront where you don't write them off. And then, teachers took special education to learn how to teach them. And it's amazing the intelligence. Like you say, if you would be over at my friend's house, those two kids would drive you up a wall. She's got the patience of a saint, but she's with them constantly. But talk about intelligent kids. I told her, I said, you got two sons to really be proud of. I look at it, those two kids could go on to, you know, discover a cure for a rare disease someday. I'm going to have to look at my DVD collection. I think I have Rain Man. Oh, I never heard of that movie. Who stars in that? I'll have to look that one up. A Beautiful Mind. Time to make a note. Otherwise, I'll forget. Like me, no mind. While I'm watching Lucy videos, I'll be gargling that movie. Oh, Ketty, you know what's out in the crock pot right now? Oh. Fresh Hungarian sausage and sauerkraut. I hit it perfect today. The delivery guy was just stocking the shelf. And I says to him, I said, oh, I see you're putting Italian sausage out. I said, you have any Hungarian in there? He goes, yeah, how many you want? I said, give me two. They're made right here in Ohio. I'm going to have to look at the label tomorrow to see where. Fresh made daily. Yeah, I had to go up to Mark's, and I just happened to walk over by the packaged meat case, and he was putting up the hot Italian sausage and the sweet Italian sausage and the chorizo, I said, you got any Hungarian in there? He goes, yeah, how many you want? I said, give me two. So I swung by the aisle and grabbed a jar of, I got, I got snow floss sauerkraut today. Regular, it was on sale. And I'm cheap. Russell Crowe and Ron Howard produced it. I will look that one up tomorrow. I already wrote it down. Let's write down Russell Crowe, produced by Ron Howard. If I find it on eBay cheap, I'll order one. Since we don't have Blockbuster anymore. You know, there's still one in existence. There is still one Blockbuster still in existence. I couldn't believe it. I can't remember where it's at. Big store. I read about it recently. And the guy says he does a hell of a business. Plus, he also sells DVD players for people that don't have one. And Blu-ray. Yeah, there's still one Blockbuster in America. That's like there are still, I believe, 3 Archer Tortures. Remember Arthur Torture's fish and chips? And one of them is in Garfield Heights. Still made to the original recipe. Bend, Oregon. It's interesting that there is still a Blockbuster. Man, when they went out of business, I went in. I bought a shitload of DVDs cheap. They were selling like 50 cents, 75 cents. I can't remember the state where there is still an original McDonald's from the 50s. There is one that the guy refused to modernize. And it was built back like in the early 50s. And it's a big attraction for car clubs, for cruise-ins. That's like we used to have it's over the county line. We used to have a Hardee's. And every Friday night they would have a huge cruise-in. So I would drive out to Lorain County just to see all the cool classic cars. and then go into Hardee's and get me 2 Monte Cristos. Matter of fact, I hear that Rally's is making a sandwich similar to the Hardee's Monte Cristo. I'm going to have to buzz up to my Rally's and check it out. I can't remember what they call it. Well, Ron, there's still some beautiful country out west. You still have gorgeous areas out in Montana and Wyoming. The problem is, as towns grow, industry comes in, and then what used to be, beautiful sightseeing country is now a frickin' giant factory. Yeah, we have one Arby's that's in Lakewood. I used to go there quite a bit, and then the staff pissed me off. And one KFC. God, there used to be KFCs like on every corner back in the day. Now, if I want KFC, I have to drive to Lakewood to get. And Arby's is down the street from KFC. Well, you got to figure, Ron, they've got to get away from them goddamn wildfires. God, I saw a video the other day that was made in LA while houses were still burning. That was sad. And they drove past one house, and the guy had an antique car collection, and there were like 10 antique cars burnt to the ground. Irreplaceable stuff. Yeah, I saw on the news that they had a cargo plane go off the runway in Korea. 2 people got killed. I don't know if that was the pilot and the co-pilot. I should have clicked on the damn news article. It'll be interesting to see what the hell happened. Well, that's why I quit going to the one in Lakewood, Kathy. I'll tell you what. My money spends anywhere. I won't put up with goddamn rude bullshit. And the one day I was in there and I was, what the hell was I ordering? Oh, they had corned beef sandwiches on sale. And I love Arby's corned beef because they use that fancy rye bread. It's like a rye and a pumpernickel mix. And the girl was having a bad day and she started to take it out on me. And I told her, I said, cancel my fucking order. I don't want the sandwiches. Well, they're almost made. I said, well, then give them to somebody else. And then the next morning I called Arby's corporate, and you know how I am. I gave them a goddamn piece of my. Then they had the nerve to send me coupons for free sandwiches. I said, you want me to go back there? You gotta be kidding me. I gave them away. I think I gave them to Mary Ann. No, I didn't give them to Mary Ann. She don't eat meat. I gave them to somebody. Yeah, Arby's is the only one that uses that. It's a rye and pumpernickel mixed together. I love the sandwiches, but I won't put up with a goddamn mouthy, arrogant goddamn cashier. And the next morning, I called corporate and gave them a goddamn piece of my mind. Then she gave me a rash of shit, you know. Well, the sandwiches are almost all made. I said, well, put them aside. Somebody will order them. They'll be ready to go. I don't want them. We used to have a Texas Roadhouse here somewhere. It was over on Brook Park Road, I think. Or was that Golden Corral? I think they were both located over in that area. I haven't been to either one, and I don't go out to eat there. The only time I go out is on my birthday. My two high school friends take me to lunch to my favorite restaurant for a corned beef sandwich. And boy, they make a corned beef sandwich. Holy shit. And that's a 3-day sandwich, man. I eat half of it there, and then the other half I have for dinner the next night. You can actually slice meat yourself in a store. Holy shit. Yeah, that's an insurance problem waiting to happen when somebody slices part of their hand off. Whoop, that slice shouldn't have gone in there. I never heard of slice it yourself in the store. Although we haven't had Kroger's in northeastern Ohio in 60 years. They are down in Columbus, though. Kroger's is all over southern Ohio, but not northern Ohio. Oh, I thought it was slice your own meat. Oh, I remember using that goddamn slicer at the hospital. That thing scared the shit out of me. Especially when I was done, when I had to clean it. I nicked myself on that goddamn slicing blade a couple of times. Cleaning that machine. I had to I had to slice onions for sandwiches. And you got to slice them real thin. Slicing didn't bother me. Cleaning the machine scared me to no end. Although I was supposed to wear safety gloves. They got them gloves that you can't cut yourself with them. They were too bulky for me to clean that machine with. Like an UGG glove. I used to have a small home use slicer. I think I gave it away. That was when I used to go to Brookside Meats. They were down on Pearl Road, and you could buy lunch meat, by the loaf. I would usually get a loaf of pickled pimento and get a loaf of Dutch loaf, and then slice it myself. Although now when you walk in somewhere and you ask for Dutch loaf, they look at you like, what? They changed the name. I don't know, maybe it was insulting to the Dutch. Now it's old fashioned loaf. I still call it Dutch loaf. The one butcher shop I go, she knows what I mean. Even though it says old fashioned loaf on the counter, she, give me a pound of Dutch loaf. Okay. Yeah, that's why I'm glad the old Passat has a good heater. I can't take the cold. Although it's going to be the first vehicle I've had in eons with air conditioning. God, I won't know how to act in that car. My air conditioning has always been 260. Two windows down at 60 miles an hour. And the seat covers look great. They fit perfect. Yeah, I got some fancy seat covers for that car. They're a faux leather. And the bolsters up along the sides are dark green. Black in the center and dark green bolsters. They look sharp. Too bad they didn't make one for the back seat. But it's got that 60-40 fold down. Now that I love. Fold the seats down and have a big giant trunk. Although not in the winter. The car will be too cold. But in the summer, I'll fold the seats down. Isn't isn't that where Mall of America is? If I'm thinking the right state. Isn't that in Minnesota? Or is that Wisconsin? I always get them confused. A friend of mine on vacation went to visit Mall of America. He said, "Holy Christ, you could get lost in that place." And he did. Every year they visit a different state. And they drive. Well, they got a, what the hell kind of minivan have they got? I think it's a Toyota. Got reclining seats. And they can put on a DVD, and there's screens in the back of that van is laid out. But boy, do they put some mileage on that thing. They've been to New Mexico. They've been to Texas. They did all the southern states, right up to Florida. They hit each state. And this next summer, they're going to do the East Coast. They pick a state, and him and his wife take turns driving. And then they visit all of they basically find out all the tourist attractions. And then they'll tour the whole state. I asked him when he's going to Alaska. He said, "Oh, that one's going to have to, that one's got to wait for a while." The only one they won't be able to drive to is Hawaii. I guess that's last on their list because they're going to have to fly, because he gets. Well, she's a school teacher, so of course she gets the whole summer off, and he gets a 4 week vacation. So they plan what state, because this summer they did Florida. Universal and Gator World and the Everglades. Yeah, they plan out a year in advance all the tourist traps. Because they went out to visit that. I think it's in Texas, that crazy guy that buries a Cadillac every year, the Cadillac Ranch. He's got like from 1950 all the way up, and every year he buries a Cadillac. And the ass end sticks up out of the ground. Well, that would be great for a retiree. God, I wouldn't have mind doing that one. Although, you'd have to do it in a motorhome. It's like my buddy's son has walked like 3/4 of the Appalachia Trail. He started like, where the hell does it start? Vermont, Massachusetts, somewhere. Started it, and every summer he picks up where he left off. And he has somebody drop him off, and then he gets a 3 week vacation, so he'll hike and camp for 3 weeks, and then he makes sure he marks on the map where he stopped. Ron, I would love to have a little motorhome. Like a little mini, with the small Winnebago, they call a mini Winnie, for me and Boots. Oh, Kathy, you ought to see some of the pictures that his son has got. Absolutely gorgeous. But he's done 3/4 of the Appalachia Trail. He does 3 weeks every year. And he makes sure he marks on the map so that he starts exactly where he left off. I didn't say you and I in a motorhome, Ron. That wouldn't work. Nah. We end up killing one another. But I would love to have a little motorhome. Although it's too late to do it now. Get a little motorhome, and then me and Boots would see the country. My ex-brother-in-law's father, when he retired, you should have, oh man, you should have seen the motorhome that he had. Thing was like 47 feet. Had pull-out rooms. And they toured the whole United States. But that thing cost him like 150,000 or $180,000. That wasn't cheap. It was a diesel pusher. It was a monster. And they just would pack up and go. I can't remember what make that thing was. It was huge. Oh my God. And they camped at, they were members of that, what is it, KOA. They pull that big ass monster in and then pull the rooms out on each side. It was that thing was like a goddamn double wide mobile home. Kathy, that thing was furnished like a mansion. It was absolutely gorgeous. But it was like 47, 48 feet long. And like I say, it had rooms on both sides that pulled out. Of course, for, almost 200 grand, I can't remember what he said it cost him to fill that thing up and pull into a truck stop and had a Detroit diesel in it. It was beautiful. He wouldn't let me drive it though. I wanted to drive it. He's like, oh no, You'll end up wiping the side off a house or something. Nope, you ain't driving mine. Christ, the driver's seat was like a lazy boy recliner. Man. He bought it down in southern Ohio at that big RV center. It's like acres and acres and acres and acres of RVs. I almost got lucky. A guy had one of those, it was an ex U-Haul camper on a Toyota chassis. and I was interested in buying it, and he had a friend of his, and we were kind of haggling back and forth, and his buddy came up with more money. But I would love to have that, although I'd have had it repainted because it was goddamn U-Haul colors. And the strange thing was, it was a manual. It was a 5-speed. I was like, holy shit, a motorhome with a 5-speed. It was one of the few that they built with manual transmission in it. That would have been perfect for me and Bootsy. I don't know if it would have been perfect for him. Come on, get in the motorhome. Because there's one. Now, there's a lot of sites I would love to have seen. I really want to see or wanted to see the Grand Canyon. That was like my ultimate. To drive out and actually see the Grand Canyon. There are other, like Mount Rushmore, okay, but that don't compare to the Grand Canyon, man. I can't, I can't even think of doing that now. Not with doctor's appointments and I would have to do like 2.5, 3 week trips, because then I'd have to come back to get my medication. Not to mention, I don't think I could hack driving that kind of distance anymore. God, my cousin up in Rhode Island wants me to come up and visit. I mean, it's from my driveway to her driveway, it's 640 miles. I could almost do that in a day because I have driven 500 miles in a day. What's another 140? One reason I didn't have anything that would make it that far. Man, good coffee. Good coffee. Wow. The old tablet's holding at 64%. God, that's unbelievable. Usually by now it's like 15% flashing red at me. Although what I should do with that thing is delete most of the apps because the goddamn apps suck up a lot of power. Yeah, Kathy, but like I told you, when I was driving for the limousine service, I was cranking like 6,000 miles a month. Of course, I was used to driving that. Today, yeah, I could do the 640 in a day, but it would take me like 3 days to recover. I mean, it was nothing for me to, like the one trip I did, I picked up a girl and her young son at Hopkins Airport, drove out to Lake Chautauqua, New York, dropped them off, and turned around and drove home. I was used to cranking big miles, but that was 25 years ago. Yeah, I was thinking about that today. With the battery being so weak on that tablet, there's so many apps on there that I don't use because I only use it for the music. I could get rid of PayPal, Facebook, Facebook Messenger, Amazon, the weather app. There's so many on there I could kill off. It would save me on battery. How many miles? If you came back to visit, how many miles one way? See, I back in the day I could do that with my eyes closed, but now, yeah. I mean, I'm dreaming to think I could do 640 in one, drive from here to Rhode Island. Plus, I'd have to have, perfect weather and. But it was nothing for me. 500? Because I used to keep track and total it up at the end of the month. And I was averaging between 5,000 and 6,000 miles a month. Talk about getting saddle sore in your ass. Hey. But most of the time it was, in a Cadillac or Lincoln limousine. And hell, I wasn't paying for gas. And see, they knew I was single. So they would give me the distance trips because I didn't care. I mean, it would be nothing for me to drive from, Cleveland to frickin' Cincinnati or Dayton, turn around, come home. Drive from Cleveland to Indianapolis. Piece of cake. And the amazing thing was, I never got tired because I got conditioned to it. Christ, I can remember it was like on a Monday I drove from Cleveland to Dayton and back. And then on Tuesday I drove from like Cleveland to Pittsburgh and back. And then Wednesday from Cleveland to somewhere in Indiana and back. I mean, you're conditioned to it. But now, shit, I hate driving to the grocery store. Although, once the Passat is legal, I'll have some fun. Because I've yet to get out of third gear. I just want, as soon as it's legal, I want to get up on the freeway and get it into fifth and really feel that turbocharger. Because right now it's teasing me, you know. The turbo no sooner kicks in, I gotta back off. Yeah, I got it. Well, once I get the alternator done tomorrow, then I'll run up to the gas station and fill it up with 94. I wonder if Sunoco has 96. We got that new Sunoco station down the street. I'm going to have to call him. Ask him if they got 96. Probably not, because although, you know, your higher end Audis and BMWs and that, you gotta run at least 93 octane in them. But I wonder if Sunoco still offers 96. Because that would be really great to mix in with the last of that shitty gasoline. Because I've got it somewhat below half a tank now. And it's got a 16-gallon tank. So I'd have to put at least 8 gallons in it. God, the station up the street yesterday had regular for $2.26 a gallon. I haven't seen gas that cheap in ages. Although there was a line down the street waiting to get in. Yeah, I drove by, looked at the sign, and went, $2.26. And I was going to get gas, and I went, oh, that line is all the way down the street. Damn it. Although back in the day at Sunoco, you could get 100 octane. What they call blue Sunoco. When you pumped that gas, it was blue. Sunoco 100. It figures. I think 93 it's tops. I think the only ones around here that carry 93 are BP and Shell. You remember blue Sunoco, Kathy? When you pumped that gas, it was actually blue, like blue ink. Although it was 100 octane. It was expensive back then, but it was great if you did a tune up on a car. And then you put at least like 5 or 6 gallons of that blue Sunoco in. And boy, that car'd run beautiful. Back in the good old days. And then they changed it. And they called it 260 Sunoco. I've got some stickers somewhere that say Sunoco 260. Because that was the 100 octane. I don't know why they called it 260. Oh, I'm going to have to look for those decals. I had a bunch of them. Sunoco 260. Yeah, as much as I don't like BP or I'll have to go to Shell. I don't get shit for mileage with BP gas. I'll have to go up to Shell. I know that Shell has 93. Although Shell's expensive, but I don't want to screw this engine up. Because that's what the mechanic told me. He said throw some 93 out, fill the tank with 93 octane. Matter of fact, he'll look tomorrow and go, oh, I see you didn't fill the tank on the car yet. I know, just put the alternator on. We'll worry about the gas later. You can't be legally driving it anyway until January. Yeah, back in the good old days when we had leaded gasoline, then the, then everybody was complaining, we need clean air. Put catalytic converters on cars. And there went the old leaded gas. Yeah, Ron, you used to be able to spin the dial and pick your octane. That was what was cool about Sunoco. Of course, every octane you went up, the price went up. Yeah, people don't remember that. The pump had a dial on the side with a pointer. Pick your octane. Well, speaking of picking my octane, I think it's time to pick some Hungarian sausage and sauerkraut. If I can find the outro music here. Where did it go? Oh, come on. I can't find it. Oh, here we go. We know where, right here. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thanks for being here. And we will meet again tomorrow night. And with that, take care, everyone.